but we are live on one place in Facebook. So I'm just going to say yes, that we are. So hi everybody on Facebook. There was always a little bit of a delay on good old FaceAche. There's such a delay that my guest that you can see at the moment is just making a quick call as we also tottle over to YouTube and connect there, and hopefully everything will be fine there. But I think it's only allowing us in one place right now. So anyway, this is an interview that did happen 2 weeks ago, but Dionne didn't press record in the right places. Why am I being so transparent with you? Well, if you know me, you know that's exactly how I am. I am just raw. I say it how it is. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and truth is it's my superpower as well as my bad fortune at the same time, because I'm that honest. So another reason why I'm sharing that with you is because that is what we as menopausal women sometimes do. And it's got nothing to do with our skills and our capabilities. It's got to do with different things that are going on within our body, and we are juggling as you know, women can multitask. So you imagine being hormonal and you're doubly multitasking while having all of that go on in your body at the same time. Well, that was me 2 weeks ago. But I'm here with you today with Jackie Simmons, who was so gracious and so kind to come back after that big faux pas of mine. And therefore, we owe her a big, 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 big thank you. Thank you so much for coming back, Jackie. I really appreciate you.
Well, you're welcome. And I almost feel like I should come with a disclaimer, because you're not the only host. I was on a podcast, So Happy to Offend You, which I thought was a great title for a podcast. And her server crashed. And my episode was one of the ones that just vanished off of her server. And so we had to redo that interview. So I'm like, okay, when you interview Jackie, just be advised, you may have to do it twice.
Oh my gosh. And I think it's all to do with all these updates as well, because I've also lost material on Zoom recently, being locked out of one of my accounts. So I'm sure there's a couple of people watching this that's also raising their hand saying, yeah, that's happened to me. They kept telling me to upgrade because I was running out of storage. And then when you press forget your password, they do not send you your password. So this is an update thing that's going on in 2023. And the reason I'm paying so much attention to it, because it's actually one of your questions that we're going to talk about later on. But let me introduce Jackie to everybody. She is a TEDx speaker. She's an international best-selling author. She just told me some news a moment ago that that she can't share in a huge way. But however, she's going to be on a TV program that's really big in the States. And that's come from all her contacts, but it's also come from her hard work, because we only deal with people in business down to how they show up for us. And Jackie is a woman that shows up for plenty of people. And it's down to her work in reference to teen suicide, which is one of the advocacy programs that we're going to be talking about today. As you can see from my title, we are going to be talking about menopause blues versus adolescent blues. But first of all, I would just like to say welcome, Jackie, and have her share a little bit more about the work she does with women and the confidence work that she does in her business, in accordance to who she serves, which is women like me, healers.
So your microphone just cut out about half volume in the last 5 words, just so you'll know. So okay. There you go. That might help. All right. So as you get your sound check back in, we will just enjoy this journey. And the reality is blues are blues, and I don't have them anymore. And I used to have them in a really big way, and they called it depression. The vision that I have, the reality through my eyes now, my perspective now is that a mental health diagnosis really missed what was actually happening. And what was happening for me was that my authenticity was being buried deeper and deeper as I tried to conform more and more to what society, what business, what entrepreneurialism, what my business coaches, what my husband at the time, what these expectations were and everybody else's rules. And now I teach people how to write their own rules. How do you actually own your life? So that's my business. My business is how do you wrap a business around your intuitive gifts? And I work with coaches and healers over there.
And I love that. I love that you shared that, for the simple reason that there are so many women listening in on this that can identify with that message. Because so many of us, halfway through our lives, through our relationships and what's happening within the family dynamics in accordance to where we were born, have a great impact as to how much we swallow and suppress within ourselves instead of living our truth. So how did you wrap your business around that?
Well, I didn't for many, many years. I know what it's like to be in business for yourself and still have it look like that joke about a job where JOB stands for just over broke. And I didn't understand why. I went to hundreds of networking events. I gave out thousands of business cards. I built up a ton of goodwill. I was very comfortable sharing what you were up to and how you and this other person could connect. Now they call these people super connectors. Back in the day, it was just that Jackie was everywhere. And then one of my friends pointed out that she saw me at every networking event. She said, Jackie, I see you everywhere. And I have no idea what you do.
Ooh.
Because I was so busy talking about other people. See, I thought if people got to know me, they wouldn't like me. And this mythology that people only do business with people they know, like, and trust, I thought that if they got to know me, they would not like me and they certainly wouldn't trust me. And so I just hid in plain sight. I'd learned how to do that growing up. That's a whole nother story. Basically, growing up, I could hide behind a book because if I was sitting and reading a book, people left me alone mostly. And so that translated to growing up, more and more did I hide, and even in my business. And what would happen when I did talk is that people understood my words, and I'm really good with words. But they didn't trust me and they didn't know why. And they couldn't even articulate that it wasn't that they trusted me, but there was just this inauthenticity. And you know what it's like when you're around someone that you just don't quite get and you don't get why you don't get them.
As an empath, yes.
Yeah, it's just an impact thing. So I did okay. I just wasn't thriving in my business. And it wasn't until the disguise that I had everything all together was ripped away when my daughter at 37 stood up and gave a 7-minute message that matters, that I had taught her how to deliver a 7-minute message that matters, because that's one of the things I do. And she talked about the numbers of teen suicide attempts in the US. And this was August 3rd, 2019. And the attempt rate at that point was 3,000 a day.
Wow.
And I was staggered. In the back of the room, I went pale. I had no idea the number was that high. I also had no idea suicide was her topic. And her next sentence was, when I was 14. And she publicly shared what we had privately lived, which was her first suicide attempt. And I went pale to bone cold, because outside of professional help, she'd never really talked about it. I hadn't wanted to. I didn't really want to know what could cause my own child to think that dying was better than living. And she was getting professional help. We were good. That was wrong. That was, and I rarely use the word wrong, but the mythology around professional help being enough is a myth. It's also a myth that you can put a thought into someone's head, which is one of the reasons I hear often, but Jackie, I don't want to talk with my kid about suicide. What if I put the thought in their head? You cannot put a thought in a teenager's head, because if you could, their rooms would be clean.
And not when you're coming from a place of love, you can't.
It doesn't matter what it is. You cannot put a thought in someone's head. If they don't already have something there for it to hook to, it's just going to slide off. The reticular activating system in their brain guarantees it. So if they're already struggling, already got a case of the blues that they're masking, then it'll hook and you will notice. And you'll be able to get them appropriate intervention, because at that point, you can't prevent it. You can only intervene.
I've got so many questions. My first one being, were you going through your transition at that time when your daughter attempted her life for the first time when she was 14? How old were you?
When my daughter was 14, I was in my mid to late 30s. So the question is, what was going on with me? Well, I was dealing with my own bout of clinical depression. So how much of that was triggered by hormones?
Well, as we know
Yeah.
now, our hormones start to decline come age 35. That's the beginning of their decline.
Yeah.
So by the time one is 38, 39, going into 40, they have started their decline. And which is why so many women get diagnosed with depression rather than perimenopause.
It's amazing the number of things that came into effect all at the same time for me. And creating a program, which is what I teach on erasing emotional trauma, removing uncomfortable emotions from past events without getting re-traumatized. I had to create that because I couldn't find it. Now I teach other people how to do it. And in that process, several other things came together. To your point, I actually worked with a doctor who put me on a hormone replacement. And that, coupled with the request from my husband at the time to end our marriage, I came off of antidepressants. Oh, by the way, I also quit the last W-2 job I've ever had. And in 2003, I stopped taking antidepressants. So I've been medication free. And now I don't need the hormone replacement because I am over that. That's the good news. The really good news is that there's so much support out there now, Dionne. The work that you're doing is life-saving for so many women, because we are not insane. And I may not have been technically depressed other than situationally. And I was in a situation that my hormone fluctuations had helped create, and leveling them out helped me resolve.
Yeah, I was about to point to the point of work and a relationship, because they're part of the mountain that a woman have to climb at that stage in her life. So yeah, the situationship was huge. So can you tell me about the confidence of what happened? Like, why is your work unlimited confidence? Why do you name it unlimited confidence? Is it because confidence is the key message around the program that you had to build because it wasn't out there that could have helped you at the time? And is that what you tapped into, and that was therefore your big ha-ha?
My big aha came after that day in August. And when Stephanie and I decided to work together on the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, and I got asked to take a TEDx stage on how to end teen suicide. Now I'm going to point that out. I got asked to take a TEDx stage. I was not looking for it. I was still trying to balance this idea that I could help my daughter with her vision of helping kids before they need it, with all of the things she'd learned on her suicide avoidant journey, and that I could keep that separate, that I could somehow keep that away from my business. And so I was doing this juggle of, I'm helping her with that, and I'm doing this, and I'm helping her with that, and I'm doing this. And it was all about a lack of confidence that I could be known, as being the mother of a suicidal child and be able to own that. And still, again, I was dealing with the myth that people only do business with who they know, like, and trust, and my own BS, my own belief system that said, if you knew me, you wouldn't like me or trust me. The TEDx stage changed that.
But how much of that, if you knew me, they wouldn't like me or trust me, how much of that is about the guilt that comes with the experience of a child?
Oh,
It's
I
like,
call
is that
it
labeled? Is people seeing me as a bad mother because of our family
it's a
experience?
guilt nightmare.
Is other authority figures, school, education, social, the church, you know, am I being labeled as this?
Honey,
And therefore, how can I speak on such a topic?
the stigma that comes with anything, and it is still prevalent no matter how they try to break it, it's still there. We don't treat mental health the same way we treat physical health. It's changing. And it had not changed in 2019, at least not for me. So Unlimited Confidence Live, that's where I put my newest courses. Every time I'm teaching something new on this topic, it's found at that.com site. And the reason I chose that is because the one thing that stops people from being successful is being confident that what they have has value, that what they speak about has value. And the only reason they're not confident in what they speak about has value is because of this crack in our soul, what I call a hole in the soul, that says, maybe I don't have value. Unless we were raised with unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, and not necessarily approval of everything we did, but unconditional approval of who we were as a human, which there are very few parents who can handle that. You know, I couldn't do it. My parents couldn't do it. I don't think that there's been a woman in my family going back generations that didn't have this same hole in her soul, because somewhere along the line, we got challenged. We had something that happened too fast, too confusing, you know, too painful, too intimidating to be able to stay emotionally present. And that happens without major trauma, guys.
Yeah.
We don't get out of childhood without being traumatized. Just ask any 3-year-old that's been told how to sit still in church.
Yeah, just living.
You know, sitting still is not the natural state.
Yeah, we pass it on through our DNA. Each generation passes it on to the next of what's been lived and what hasn't been dealt with. And, you know, unless one is a saint, a Buddha, or, you know, Jesus or Muhammad, then
and even they had their moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Even they had their moments. So once you accept that this is normal, there's nothing wrong with you, you're not broken, you're not damaged. Once I accepted, oh, this is just how I handled what happened with the skills I had at the time. Now I call beliefs decisions I made and meanings I assigned at a time I don't even remember. Once I knew that that's what was running the show up here, and my actions come only from what's going on in my head. Once I knew what was running the show, then I could change that story. And that's where the game is played. The game is played in the story we tell ourselves about who we are, how the world works, and who we can be in the world.
And it's that when the confidence, I mean, that that sense of self-worth is really, really embodied, and confidence just springs over in all shapes and areas of our life, that we're just an embodiment of confidence. We can show up boldly as we are. And that's one of the things about your personality. If I had to like put, you know, when you say like list three characteristic adjectives about me, I would say Jackie is bold. I would say she's bold. I would say she is fearless, bold, and a great communicator. Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Those
so
are the things
that is
and I hadn't even thought about that. Just came to me.
All right, so now we know that how other people perceive us might not be how we perceive ourselves.
Oh, definitely not. But that's
Yeah,
why you have
definitely not.
so many, you know, when you ask for those questions, you ask all your friends to like chip in that way. It just gives us just showing this different sides of the different coins, you know. One would be a penny coin, one would be a pound coin, one would be a 50p coin. You know, it's not the same coin, but it's two sides of different coins, and together they make up part, you know, part of us. And even then it's just still only part of us. Even if 10 people or 50 people chimed it still won't be how we see ourselves.
Absolutely. And the reality is that the power of unlimited confidence means that today I can receive how you perceive me without having to gut check it, without having to backpedal, without having to dilute it in any way. Now I can receive it. Oh, look at that. I am to you what bold and fearless and whatever the other word was, I've forgotten.
A great communicator.
A great communicator. I am what that is to you. How cool is that? And there are no little voices in my head anymore that say, but if she only knew this, or, you know, all of the things that I used to say. I've learned that, and actually I experience, it's not even that I learned. Now I live in a space of receiving, because the key to being able to give, the key to being able to serve is to be able to receive. And that's what confidence gives you, not the ability to stand up and speak out, though yes, that comes with it, but the confidence that it's safe to receive the good stuff. That's what confidence does.
How does your program help instill that in children?
Well, we have two programs we're talking about. Unlimited Confidence Live is a program for adults, specifically coaches and healers in the intuitive space. They know they have intuitive gifts, but if, like me, I had business coaches try to beat my intuition out of me to have me talk and speak like everyone else, it was a painful process to come back to me and how I see the world. So that's my primary business in my company, Success Journey Academy. What we do at the Teen Suicide Prevention Society is take all of that content and turn it into easy ways for parents to share the concepts with their kids. I do not work directly with kids voluntarily. I believe in following the directions, good orderly directions. And the directions on a bottle of aspirin say, take 2 and keep away from children. That's me. So my kids, my daughters, they're now in their 40s. My daughters, they deal with the teens. They are doing all of those things, but primarily we work with adults. We believe that emotional intelligence, emotional resilience, confidence, optimism, these are the keys that will make suicide prevention programs unneeded, God willing, in my lifetime. And those 4 keys are not something you can teach a child. Those are things kids catch from their parents. Like you said, these things that are not dealt with, we inherit. Well, guess what? When you deal with them, when you are confident, your kids become confident along with you. They learn what they live with. So I'm about helping you, the adult, heal what is, and not even heal, but just have the tools that you can have a talk with your kid that actually will flip the thinking around in both of your brains.
So let me ask you the question that a lot of parents watching this want to know is, what signs should they look out for in reference to knowing if their child is that unhappy and therefore is considering taking their life?
My favorite question of all time, because the answer is not what they want to hear. All right, here's the truth.
Give it to us.
Waiting for signs is looking for trouble. Your brain is hardwired to screen out any signs of trouble. So even if there are signs, they won't make it past a parent's reticular activating system. So if you're waiting for signs, oh, my kid's okay. Yeah, you believe your kid's okay, so that's what you're going to see. Sorry, what you believe is what you see. So that almost cost me my child. That's why we went upstream. The guide on the website, the guide that saves lives, is the talk you have before there are signs, before you're worried, before you're concerned, based on the reality that all of our kids are at risk. They all know someone who's tried or died. You probably don't know this, but they have lost a classmate. They know of someone who's struggling. They don't know how to help them. And if you would just use the guide and have the talk with them that saves lives, then they could use the guide and go save the lives of their friends. And we could stop the nonsense that's going on in people's heads that say, well, if my kid's not in trouble, I don't have to talk about it. Bullshit. You
Is
do.
it like having the safe sex talk before a child is sexually active?
Yeah, you don't wait to talk about sex until they're pregnant, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you let me think. Your kid's in rehab and that's when you decide to talk to them about drugs, or they've lost their license for drunk driving and that's when you decide maybe I should be talking to them about alcohol. No, we do these things proactively, God willing. They used to have public service announcements to help parents have the words to have these conversations, but we don't gather around one screen anymore. So public service announcements aren't fulfilling their job anymore.
So can you give us a demo?
Oh, yeah. You want to have the talk that saves lives?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
All right, parents, here's the deal. You get to invite your kid by reading this one little paragraph. It will get your child, most likely, what we're finding, most likely they will say yes to the talk. This means they're not going to roll their eyes and they won't take it personally. Here's the invitation. Dionne, I'm part of the mission to end teen suicide. They gave me a guide. I need to practice. Would you have a few minutes to help me practice my guide?
Oh, I don't think I've got the time. How long is it going to take?
It's only 4 questions. It only takes a few minutes, and we could do it tomorrow if today's not good.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Pinning them down. Yeah. Okay, then go for it.
Awesome. When they do sit down with you one-on-one, thank you for helping me practice my guide. It's only 4 questions, and there's one rule. For the first 3 questions, you can only answer yes or no. And then on the 4th question, you can tell me as much as you want. Sound good?
Do you know they actually might just be on their phone as they actually just said yes to you? So what if they are just twiddling around on their phone? What would you say to them then?
I would say, put your phone down so that you can help me. Because you said you were going to help. This will only take a minute. Set it down. I would own that space, parents. It's time for you to just, if they say yes, they're saying yes. The odds are they're not going to be on their phone because they're curious. Remember, they know they're losing their friends. This is an important topic to them, but they can't talk with you about it. And there are reasons. So this is a way to depersonalize it and they sit down and they're ready. All right. 4 questions, 1 rule. Questions 1 through 3, you just answer yes or no. And then on the 4th question, you can tell me as much as you want. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Question 1. Dionne, have you heard about the rise in teen suicides?
Well, I didn't know it was rising, but I do. There is somebody at school that's no longer there.
Thank you. And that's actually the 2nd question is, do you have a story? Do you have a friend who's tried or died?
Yeah.
Thank you. Question 3, Dionne, have you ever thought of leaving that way?
No.
Thank you. Question 4, why stay? What are your reasons for staying?
I'm trying to place myself as a child, and I think
no, do answer it as you. Why stay, Dionne? What are your reasons for staying?
Me personally, and it's my biggest one is my faith. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, it's all right. I can come out. I came out in January in reference to my business, so I might as well now. I'm Buddhist. And what that means as a Mahayanist Buddhist is that this body isn't my body. It's actually the body of my parents. And like how everybody else believes, that we're just the body's just a vessel and we have a spirit and a soul, it's very similar to that concept. So if I was to harm this body, it would be exactly the same amount of, we don't use the word sin, but exactly the same amount of sin as it would be to harm another person.
Awesome. Cool. Another way to look at this is, what's so good about your life that you want more of it?
There's so many things I like about life. Yeah.
What's happening in your brain right now? And anybody watching this, anybody seeing your face can absolutely hear it in your voice and see it in your face. What's happening? And this is what happens in the brain of every single person who does this talk, who answers these questions. What's happening is all of the electrical energy that is involved in the angst around the topic of suicide has been stolen and redirected into a new neural pathway labeled reasons for staying. And so the more they talk about their reasons for staying, the more they talk about what's so good in their lives that they want more of it. This is the one place where in the guide, it gives prompts to keep them talking on this topic, because what's happening is their brain is building out an entire neural network on this topic of reasons for staying.
And one can also promote more activities down that pathway.
And then if they use the guide and they go talk to one of their friends, when they get to question 4 and their friend starts talking about their reasons for staying, the teen's brain, because of something called mirror neurons, is building out more of a neural network labeled reasons for staying. Because the brain, just like, oh, by the way, we did this to all of your listeners, everybody watching, sorry, disclaimer, your brain has been changed. Because while Dionne was answering the questions, your brain, thanks to mirror neurons, was doing the exact same walk. So we took all of the electricity from that part of your brain that's all angst around mental health and suicidation and all of the words they use, and we redirected it over here to your own reasons for staying.
I'm really, really glad that you pointed that out, because my next question was going to be, should a menopausal woman who's really down turn that on herself? And you
can have the talk with yourself. It is as powerful to have it with another person as it is to have it with yourself. It's actually, you could do it, but there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And on the Teen Suicide Prevention Society website, when you download the guide, this actual script, there's a 1-hour training with it if you want to watch, just so it answers some frequently asked questions. And there's also the Why Not workbook that you get along with it, which is another really quick tool that interferes with the way we typically think about topics like suicide. It actually disrupts that pattern of thinking and allows for more positive things to come out of your mouth. And the reason this is a conversation that if you have it with yourself, we want you to have it out loud, is because your subconscious mind is hearing what you say.
Yeah, I definitely believe it's more powerful when one has had it out loud. I have, how can I put this? Coached women to have it out loud with me. Let's put it that way. And it's been miraculous. Now, not to take the ownership off ourselves, there are some questions that I do want to ask you.
Oh, absolutely.
Although I strongly believe the power is within our own hands. And like you said, nobody can implant that thought within oneself. And that, I do believe our feelings come from us. But we also are, we have our own individual karma, but we also live in society. And just how, in one household, you've got the menopausal woman, and you've got the hormones of an adolescent going on. There are more and more women that are bringing up children alone. And my question therefore goes out to what impact do you think that's having on children, with there being less of a father presence in their lives? And what
I just want to call out a historical piece of information. Women have been raising children alone since time began because men went off to hunt.
Yeah,
Men
but
went
in
off to
tribes,
war.
though, in tribes, it was in
In tribes.
tribes, not in
And
the
that's,
solo system that we live in now today.
go find a tribe. The reality is it's not a solo system, except that we believe that it is. Look at the people watching this. You all are a tribe. All you have to do is start treating each other as if you are in a tribe. And when people start treating each other as members of the tribe again, then we've solved a bigger problem. So here's my challenge for everyone. What attitude would you have today if you believed that you were part of a supportive tribe? If you knew in your bones and in your gut that you were part of a community determined to help every member thrive, because that is the cry that we are putting out into the world, this knowledge that we are a tribe. And together we can all thrive. And that is the ripple effect that we're looking to see in the world. I don't dream small anymore, guys. I don't want you to stay playing small the way that I used to. I know I am not the only person that is good at hiding in plain sight. Our children are excellent at what they call masking. It is the college football team captain. It is the head of the pom squad. It is the valedictorian. These are the kids who are dying from suicide because they're hiding. They're very visible, they're very vulnerable, and they're hiding it. And they're really good at it. And the gatekeepers, the professionals that are trained to go looking for signs, cannot see them. They do tell their friends, and their friends don't know what to do. Yeah. And the reason the friends don't know what to do is because if they inform an adult, they're breaking the tribal law of secrecy. And if they break the tribal law of secrecy, they are risking ostracized. They're risking being kicked out, being voted off the island, to use the nomenclature of reality TV. They are risking losing a friend, not to suicide, but losing a friend to betrayal. Because if the friend feels betrayed, even though they're still alive, and I get this story from people a lot, the cure for that is the guide. Because the guide is not personal. You're not saying, hey, I think you're in trouble, let's have a talk. You're saying, hey, I see that there's a problem in our community that I want to help solve. Will you help me? The minute you ask for help, you're turning on the pleasure center in someone else's brain. You're already helping to solve the problem.
I totally agree with you in so many ways. I mean, that's why I have the word sisterhood in my business. That last point that you just made, I'm the auntie that I'm not just talking blood auntie, I'm talking children that are not blood. And because I don't look my age, maybe, you know, they think like I'm like closer to them in age. And they come to me with this. And then I find myself having to, and even children that aren't, they don't know me, but their other child who I'm godparent to or whatever, I've told them that's the adult to speak to. And I find myself therefore having to be this middle person between my besties and their besties, because I can't go to their besties directly, because it'd be like, how come you've been talking to my child? So I am this middle auntie trying to negotiate these talks. So I so hear you, so hear you. And this guide that you're talking about is just going to be amazing.
The guide is up, the training is free, the Why Not Workbook is free. It's all there. And the sooner you can get a teen involved in the mission to save lives, the sooner you can get them focused on their power to help their friends, the faster they themselves will be helped. These are the truest words. You cannot help someone else without also helping yourself in the process.
And that's why your business is called Proactive Pure Prevention Group, right?
That's why we call it a pure prevention program.
Yeah.
Because we don't
where
look
can
for
they,
signs. We're not waiting for the at-risk label to be applied. We believe we're all at risk. Let's just deal with this.
we are all at risk. That's why I like the conversation to have been about adults in the beginning. Can you tell us where they can get this guide? Just like say the website straight out. That means
Super simple and really long. Teen Suicide Prevention Society. And we are a society. At the top of the page, it's get the guide. There's a little video there. Just click the orange button.
and there's
Get
a little
the guide.
song. There's a little song that goes along with it, isn't there? That helps people remember.
There's a song called Before You Decide, which was written for our mission, which I absolutely love. And there's a button for that at the top. There's a button that takes people to my TEDx talk on how to end teen suicide, which has this talk kind of embedded in it. I kind of snuck it in on, and so I'm flipping people's brains around because that's what I'm good at. I believe in following wise people. Best words in the world came from Eeyore of the 100-Acre Wood. He hung out with Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin. He's that donkey that kept losing his tail.
Yeah.
I have a plate on my wall. Eeyore is upside down, and the plate says, "Some days just look better upside down."
I'm laughing for many reasons. My ex-partner, that was his nickname. That's the nickname I gave him was Eeyore. That's why I'm laughing so much. I would like to just end this interview with just flipping it on back onto women in reference to wanting to talk about sort of unburdening their plate, just making their plates just a little bit lighter. And right now you might be aware that there's a lot of AI tools coming out that have just come out, and there's a lot more going to be coming out this year and next year. And
artificial intelligence is
AI,
here to stay.
It is. And when one is going through the menopause, there is this side effect, this ailment of brain fog. And it's not just depression, but the actual, that it's kind of, it looks like dementia, it looks like Alzheimer's. Doesn't last for a lifetime, especially if one does get HRT, but it very, very, very much is, for some women, it can feel like this is it, because there is
some women
such a mental blank that is going on.
Brain fog is a real thing, and a lot of things can trigger it. And when you're in it, there are things that will help. And
in reference to AI, when one having received, like, it's like somebody going, here's a new laptop, learn how to use it. Now, a woman can either go, oh my God, that's just too much. Or they can go, oh, this is going to help my. How do you feel about this AI coming in? Do you feel like, oh, it's too much, and the women that you work with? Or do you feel,
all right, I'm going to get really precise.
What's the environment about it? Right?
Are you specifically talking about the AI that is generating a lot of articles and books and writing for people? Is that the
there's
piece?
Writing, there's design, there's data entry, there's organizational ones. There's quite a few hitting the market right now.
Yep. If you have brain fog happening, avoid technology until you have someone with you. And this is just good common sense. It's like you don't operate a car when you're under the influence of alcohol. You don't want to be operating the internet under the influence of brain fog, in my opinion. I have written some very strange reading emails after the fact. So I advise avoiding, okay, without somebody there to proofread, to guide. When it comes to embracing AI, trust your gut. Make it make sense. The shiny object syndrome will drive all of us to distraction. It won't drive us crazy. We're already there. It just takes and makes us more distracted. And so my suggestion is trust your gut, pick one, Pause on one piece of AI, see if it's a fit for you, and then move on. And instead of trying to gather them all at the same time, and the latest one that this friend is talking about, and the latest one that that friend is talking about, you want to serve the tribe, get a good understanding of one, and then tell us what's so good and what's not so good about it. Just get one that you're comfortable with, and then partner up with people who are comfortable with other pieces. Let's build a tribe.
Join the sisterhood, ladies.
There we go. Join the sisterhood, get a tribe. I like that.
So thank you so much, Jackie. I really, really appreciate having you today. And I am, oh, bless you, bless you. And I just want to ask, is there anything that you would like, you know, is there a question that I didn't ask that you would have liked me to have asked?
You hinted at the beginning about the nomination that I have, about being on a reality TV show. And you're right, there's not a lot I can say, but here's what I can. The show is about raising the positivity of the planet. I want our perspective on pure prevention to be represented on this platform, and I have a request. I realize that if people download the guide that saves lives off of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society website, the producers will know that if I'm on the show, people will watch. So this is how people can vote for me right now, is to go to the Teen Suicide Prevention Society.com, download the guide to save lives, and that will help inform the producers of the show that this is something you would watch.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we will do that. I will share that out to my peeps for you so that we get those votes in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I do know, I mean, I have men signing up for my freebie over at www. That's about 4 W's there, but it's 3 secrets about menopause. And when I go into my back end and I go, that's a man, that's a man, that's a man. But it's great because even downloading it because their partners or their wives or, you know,
well, it's very confusing.
The women in their lives are going through it and they want to support them. So I have to say, both men and women that are watching this, thank you very much for watching. Download the guide and use it among your nieces, nephews, your children, and share it out to other adults and each other, so that you are supporting each other, so your whole household gets the support and the nurturing and the love that they need.
And besides, you'll find out what's important to other people when they tell you their reasons for staying. And we're often left guessing.
Yeah, and then we can promote them and implement more of that good stuff into our lives. Yeah. So goodbye, Facebookers and YouTubers and anybody else who's watching. Bye.